lights, camera, and 6 decades of nonstop action. The 2016 presidential debate at Hofstra University in New York will be the most highly anticipated encounter since the Thrilla in Manila. But before Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, two of the most polarizing and controversial contenders, step onto the stage, here's a look back at the best and worst of debates past. The first ever presidential debate was also the first to be televised. It happened in Chicago on September 26, 1960. Richard Nixon, who refused makeup, did not look ready for prime time.
Mr. Nixon, would you like to comment on that statement?
I have no comment.
He appeared pale and perspiring, a stark contrast to a tanned, relaxed John Kennedy, who was clearly ready for his close-up.
I don't want historians 10 years from now to say, these were the years when the tide ran out for the United States. I want them to say, these were the years when the tide came in.
For the first time, the medium was the message. And for Kennedy, it was a good look. Radio listeners preferred Nixon, but the all-important TV audience went for Kennedy and probably swung the election his way. For the next 16 years, TV debates were canceled. LBJ said no way to debating Barry Goldwater. He didn't want a poor TV performance to threaten his commanding lead in the polls. And perhaps haunted by the memory of 1960, Nixon skipped the debates in 68 and 72. But in 1976, America's bicentennial year, they were back. And ever since, they've been generating memorable moments like these.
There is no Soviet domination of Eastern Europe, and there never will be under a Ford administration.
At the time, the Iron Curtain hung over the continent.
I had a discussion with my daughter Amy the other day before I came here to ask her what the most important issue was. She said she thought nuclear weaponry.
Amy was 13, and that moment bombed. There was George H.W. Bush's watch, Al Gore's size, and unforgettable one-liners and comebacks.
There you go again. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
I am not going to exploit, for political purposes, my opponent's youth and inexperience.
I don't have any experience in running up a $4 trillion debt. I don't have any experience in gridlock government, where nobody takes responsibility for anything and everybody blames everybody else.
I can only tell you that I don't think Senator Dole is too old to be president. It's the age of his ideas that I question.
And it's hard work. I understand how hard it is. It is hard work. It's incredibly hard.
Not to mention personal questions with political consequences.
If Kitty Dukakis were raped and murdered, would you favor an irrevocable death penalty for the killer?
No, I don't, Bernard, and I think you know that I've opposed the death penalty during all of my life.
Unexpected supporting roles.
To Joe the Plumber. Joe the Plumber. Conversation with Joe the Plumber.
And no shortage of sparring.
We're not going to go unilaterally. We're not going to go alone like this president did.
Let me just one point. I got to answer this.
Exactly, and with reservists being held on duty.
But let me answer this, what he just said about
Well, I wanted to get into the issue.
You tell Tony Blair we're going alone.
No, I had a question, and the question was, how much did you cut them by?
You want me to answer
How much did you cut them by?
I'm happy to answer the question.
And now the nation is gearing up for yet another round in what has felt like an endless road to the White House. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are set to square off for their first debate on September 26. That's right, the anniversary of the famous Kennedy-Nixon face-off. And this time around, the contenders will both be wearing makeup. Whose style and substance will woo voters is anyone's guess, but there will be plenty of Tuesday morning quarterbacks ready to give their post-game analysis. So stay tuned.